Hello everyone, this is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
This is A-Game, fast acting, long lasting, with no side effects.
Hello, my Crimsonites. Hey, how you doing, Ronin? Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm fine. I got some sleep.
So did I.
Because I'm like, I don't know about 10 o'clock. I pushed it to 10:15. Obviously, you got to push it back just a little bit. Hey, Tesla.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
it. Hey, Torian. Yeah, I was like, you know what? 10 on the dot is not going to work.
No, it won't work at all. Just
I'm actually real nosy. What do your shirt say? I'm super nosy. Ladies, if you've been a side chick to multiple men, maybe God don't want you to get chose. Dang. Side chick destiny. She crying. Like, girl.
Yeah, it's been a interesting conversation starter at work and around certain places. So yeah.
Oh, I know it's some women that are mad at you. What that shirt mean? I mean, what do that mean?
That was the most funniest responses right there. Like, so what you trying to say? You told me everything I need to hear. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Thank you, Gold Professor. The Crimsonites Unite.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm going to give people a couple more minutes, a minute or two. All right, so I watched One Night in Miami. You heard of that? It's on Amazon. And it's a fictitious account of a real event.
Right.
The One Night in Miami actually happened where I like Smart Water. It tastes so good. Smart Water, real good. So there was a meetup between Malcolm X, Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, and Sam Cooke. I was actually surprised to find that was an actual event. But the movie was like I want to say a fictional account of it because no one knows what they talked about. So it's almost like, okay, that night happened. What would these four men talk about? How would these four men interact with each other? All of them icons, all of them legendary, all of them adults during a very tumultuous time, which is the 60s, and in the midst of the civil rights era and all of that. And I must say, for the four men depicted and the purpose or the premise of the movie, the dialogue was very lackluster. The writing was not very good. You would expect some profound things to be said among those men. Not every sentence, but once they get together and sort of discuss a few things, you want to get a thought-provoking message or dialogue. Now, the thing about it was based in Malcolm X bringing these brothers together, and this was on the night that Muhammad Ali first won the championship. And so he's young. At this time, Malcolm X is at the end of his life. He's going to be assassinated soon. Because he's already making his exit out of the nation and being followed by the FBI and the CIA and all of that, right? So that's what's going on in his life. Sam Cooke is rising to stardom, like true stardom. Like he's known, and it was one thing said in the movie that I guess is true. I have not done my research on that. Thank you again, Go Professor. I have not done my research on it, but in the dialogue between Sam Cooke and Malcolm X, he tells Malcolm, I own my masters and I own the label and I am the one that is helping Black artists make it under my label. So if that's true, that's awesome. That's actually awesome for any artist, especially an artist like Sam Cooke, to actually own his own master. So without going into like the details of the movie or whatever too much, the most thought-provoking conversation actually was framed in an argument between Malcolm and Sam. Sam is like the quote-unquote coon of the group, but not really. Malcolm isn't calling him that in the movie, but he's telling him, you're doing all this in the entertainment industry, but you could use your platform, your voice, your music to reach the people, to say something meaningful to the people, to our people, because you're running around here trying to please the other people, quote unquote, but you're not necessarily putting a message in your music. And so during that argument, certain things came out, like celebrities using their platforms for certain things. And you know what I'm saying? Actually, the dialogue was like Sam was telling him about how shrewd of a businessman he actually was, and how those things was helping Black people too. You know what I'm saying, or whatever, because he mentioned Bobby Womack. He was like, Bobby Womack writes this song, sings a song, it only reaches 94 on the top 100. A new group, the Rolling Stones, wants to do a cover of the song. I allow them to do the cover of the song. It shoots to number 1. Bobby is mad until the royalty checks come in. What Bobby doesn't know is I own the song. Every time somebody buy that song or they perform it, we're paid. You're paid because you wrote it. So it's your song. I own the masters, you own the writing rights to the song. So you're always gonna be paid, right? And so that was just an interesting like dynamic that they had. It was rather boring though. I mean, I wasn't expecting action because it wasn't an action movie, but I was expecting more depth in the movie from those 4 figures, and it just wasn't there. So I give the movie probably 3 stars.
So what was with the Jim Brown character then?
So Jim Brown was just on his man stuff. He was just like, I'm not necessarily doing the whole civil rights thing per se. He was like, but I'm gonna get respect because I'm a man. I'm on my manhood. They gonna respect me because that's what I'm on, because I'm not going to accept any less treatment than that. I'm not gonna accept any less behavior than anybody, palm colored, whatever, is treating me like a man. You gonna respect, because it is what it is. And he was like, but I don't forget how they feel about me. They congratulate and all that kind of stuff because I run that football. He was like, but if I wasn't doing that, and even though I am doing that, he was like, they don't truly have true respect. He was like, but they're gonna act like they got in front of me. They gonna pretend, because I'm not gonna accept it if they don't. So that was sort of that.
No, it makes sense to me. I mean, in a way, that's what we need to do, or at least have that kind of mindset. There's just too many people who are turning the other cheek, and you know what I mean by that. But we need to really kind of have that stance, especially now.
Mm-hmm. So Malcolm's stance was, you got to choose a side. There's no fence sitting. We're at a time and a place where we can't sit on the fence and wait. You have to decide. A line has been drawn in the sand, and you're either on this side of it or you're on the other side of it. And it is what it is. And he was like, sort of in a way expressing to them how like his life was in danger because of the side he chose. And he was like, I know everybody's not going to do the militant thing like me. You're not going to do that. But you have a platform of your own. You know what I'm saying? You have one of your own, the music or the football or the boxing in Muhammad Ali's case. So that was kind of more or less the premise of the movie. Again, I give it 3 stars. Just because I felt like the writing could have been better and it could have had more depth. But I give them a E for effort.
Okay. I'll check it out and see what's going on. But definitely 3 stars is decent. Pretty decent.
Yeah. If you can sit through it, because it's really just talking. It's really just them 4 dudes having a night talking. It really is. Every once in a while, Malcolm has to look out the window and see the CIA agents, and it's like he shook a little bit by that, and he calls his family and stuff like that. So
Okay. Kind of like ties in the whole timeline, so to speak. So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I must have to check it out, see what's going on.
Yeah, check it out. It's on Prime, so you don't gotta pay for it if you've got Amazon.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do I want to say about that? It was one other thing. Oh, I thought some of the dialogue was between him and Sam was a little bit unrealistic between Malcolm and Sam. Malcolm was militant, but he was less so during that time of his life because he had already gone to Hodge. He had already kind of, to a certain extent, broken away from the nation, even though he had not necessarily announced it, but he was being kind of blackballed by them. So he was a little less militant during that time and more spiritual. So some of the things he was saying to Sam was more in line with an early Malcolm X rather than a later Malcolm X. But that's not here nor there. Everybody probably, if you're interested in looking at it, can form your own opinion about how realistic you think that those interactions were written. So
okay. All right. Hey, like I said, it's something on the list to check out. I'll be patient. But I have to look into it a little later.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to check out American Skin. I think it's about Nate Parker.
Yes. It's one movie I gotta look at too.
Yeah.
But
anyway, what's on today's menu? On today's menu, we have Black People and the Messiah Complex. Now, we should all understand what the Messiah thank you, War Child Games. Thank you for that. Says, it always bothers me how this channel puts out good content but has little likes. Can the 30 people here fix that, please? Thank you. You get the likes up if they're not up, please. Much appreciated. And thank you, Miss Nicole, for the Cash App. But we need to be Cash Apping you because somebody's preggy. Yay! We got a little scientist on the way.
Yeah. Congratulations to Nicole.
Together, and we are going to have a virtual baby shower.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to arrange and get you some money and send it to you so you can get whatever you need for little baby scientists. You having a girl? Or do you know the gender yet? Because it was just a sonogram.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know the gender yet, but it doesn't matter what the gender is, as long as it's a healthy, beautiful baby. It's a baby girl. Okay, so she kicking your butt. Oh, it's so wonderful. That is so wonderful. Oh my goodness, we're gonna welcome a new little lion to the pride.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta talk to her pretty soon, like see what it's like to have her first cub. That's what's up. Kinder babies.
I would babysit. I would totally be like, okay, give me the baby. Give me the baby. You can't get her back till later on, till I say so.
That's what's up. Little Lioness Club.
You're right, Little Lioness Club. So, all right, Black People and the Messiah Complex. So, For those of you who've been living under a rock your whole life and don't know what a Messiah complex actually is, hey 12, welcome, sweetheart. This is your first time here. Welcome. So the Messiah complex is essentially a thought pattern that is rooted in the Christian belief that Jesus, peace be upon him, as the Messiah, will come back at some point towards the end of days and will initiate an era where the people who believed, properly will be saved. Nutshell. That's the root. A Messiah complex is the belief that one person can save an entire group by that person's sacrifice or only that person's leadership. Wrapped up in the Messiah complex is also the person who is deemed to be able to save a group must also be perfect in a way. They have to kind of be perfect. They can't really have flaws. Okay, any major flaw. Because if they have a major flaw, that disqualifies them from being the Messiah that is there to lead a people out of whatever struggle or whatever they're going through. Y'all laughing at me in there? So Black people have the Messiah complex collectively, in general, really badly. And it has manifested itself many times and more prominently ever since the civil rights era. That's just my opinion. Yeah. Could be before. But the people that we hold in high regard, particularly from that era, and I'm picking the civil rights era because civil rights, and these were the people who were fighting and being activists for the cause of Black people being viewed in this country as equal citizens, as people, as human beings who are deserved of human rights and did not deserve the subpar, subhuman treatment that we have been getting since being enslaved in this country. And so we have our figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and I'm not going to go down the whole list. Y'all know the famous list of civil rights activists, abolitionists, some of which were entertainers also, and that sort of thing. Black people sort of look to these people as a type of Messiah, that these people were going to be or had to be or were obligated to be the ones that saved us as a whole from the struggles that we were experiencing as a people. And I link that also to our collective identifying with the struggle. Black people identify with struggles. In point of fact, one could say that the struggle is the identity of Black people collectively. We don't really consider people Black if they didn't have part of the struggle. So we, like, for instance, will view a Black person that lived maybe from wealth, or at least didn't have the struggles of poverty and the ghetto. We kind of will question their Blackness, because
Right.
that Blackness is tied to the identity of the struggle. So you almost can't be Black if you don't have the struggle. So in my opinion, the struggling identity is intimately intertwined with the Messiah complex, because somebody has to save us from the struggle, right? But it can only kind of be one person, not a group, rarely a group.
Right.
And that person has to be sort of perfect. They can't really have any flaws. And the other thing, in my opinion, that they have to do, and then I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Ronin. The other thing that they have to do that Black people will not admit to is that Messiah needs to be able to appeal to the palm-colored power structure. He has to appeal to them. So your opening statement, whatever you want to say about this.
It's the perfect answer to remain broken. It's the justification. And it's like, you ignore the fact that when you say that that phrase, faith without works is dead, you always outsource greatness that you have to something else, or you're allowed to procrastinate to maintain that struggle. And basically, I guess you maintain your level of lower status to an extent, which is kind of messed up. But this is something that we will have to change, especially in that kind of mindset and in space like these, because we're seeing that, kind of a reflection of that, especially heavily here.
Mm-hmm. And I think also tied into this Messiah complex is, like you said, a perfect excuse to stay broken. Because if you think about lazy Christians, not all Christians, just the lazy ones, just the spiritually lazy ones, just the ones that are Christian in name only and only go to church, but they don't follow nothing, they don't actually do anything.
Hypocritians.
Hypocritians, not the real ones. They feel as though that if you just keep your head down, if you just keep struggling and pray, which praying in and of itself is not an action.
Right.
And just pray that it'll all be fixed somehow magically, without them having to put forth the effort to actually fix anything. Okay. So these are the ones that have faith, which is fake, but they don't intend on making any effort towards anything. This allows them to stay broken until someone saves them, because it is the Messiah's job to save them. It's not their job to save themselves. As you can see, I had quotes over that entire couple seconds of talking. So what we see here played out multiple times in different sectors of the Black community and Black America at large, whether it's on the grand stage or whether it's on the smaller stage, we usually see this play out somehow. Now, the vicious cycle is that you'll find out that your Messiah has some fatal flaw, which then disqualifies everything that they've done, whether they've done good work or not. And once they are disqualified, you have to start over in the struggle and wait for the next Messiah to come in and save you. Because that previous Messiah that had all these flaws was disqualified along with anything good that they might have done. So, like, for some people, that's true for Martin Luther King Jr. They find out he got some flaws or something that's not widespread in the history books. And all of a sudden, everything he ever did was ridiculous and stupid and nobody needed it. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, how you disqualify a man's whole life and body of work? And you don't even know him. We don't know him. We're not old enough to have known him. None of us here that I'm aware of are old enough to have known Martin Luther King or been in adulthood or close to adulthood during the 60s in the time where he was around. Now, I know that there are some guys in the manosphere that are old enough to have been his peers. But us right here now, today, not old enough for that. So we don't know him. Okay? Yeah. We only know what the history books have said. We know maybe what some other things have said if we've done our own independent research. Things of that nature. UFO said flaw in order. Special I'm done. Flaw in order. I'm done with that.
Classic.
Right. So we don't know him, but his whole body of work for some people is now null and void because he supposedly cheated on his wife a lot of times and, you know, or whatever. He was from the bourgeoisie area of black people. He was one of the gatekeepers, or he was one of the talented 10th, or whatever you gathered out of his life that you felt like disqualified him from being a prominent figure in the civil rights movement. Or for some black people, the entire concept of the civil rights movement was a flaw, was a mistake. And I find this to be classic Monday morning quarterbacking, where you wasn't on the field and now all of a sudden after the game has been played, you know all the perfect plays that should have gone on. Well, I guess you do, since you weren't under the pressure of the game going on in real time at the time. Right. So now I guess you do got all the answers.
Yeah.
I want to wind into a point because I'm doing one of these things again.
That's a Gemini mind. Go ahead.
It's been working overtime this weekend too. I'm really getting sick of it. Okay. My point is that we always find something wrong with the so-called savior, which gives us an excuse to invalidate that person and their work and their effort, regardless if it was good or bad or helpful or not. And it allows us to start the process over of being dysfunctional and then not really doing anything about it personally. Because I'm going to actually tie this into how this has affected the so-called manosphere also. But before I make that tie into it, whatever you got to say, Ronin, floor is yours.
Well, actually, it's in many ways a scare tactic. It's like in the minds of many, who are we without the struggle? Who are we without aimless adversity? Like if you're not having an issue, which in most conversations you have someone talking about a problem that they're through, you come back and they're still going through the same one or a new version of it. It's not about people promoting ideas and forming alliances to fix things. Most times you don't hear anything about things being fixed. It's like, or the fear of actual success. because there's an inherent responsibility in maintaining that, and there's too many people who are either armchair quarterbacking or unwilling to get in the fight or face themselves in order to fix those things to improve themselves and their people. But putting that all on one person, and then when it doesn't go right, that means you didn't want it anyway, or at least conditioned not to.
Right. Exactly. Which brings me to this space that is now the ghetto sphere, the magosphere,
The bandosphere.
the bandosphere, the sweaty sphere. Which brings us to this. We're having a Messiah complex crisis going on here.
Yes.
Now, the first issue is that, oh wait, this is in the way. The first issue is that for some reason the space needed saving. Not the people in the space, but the space. And there is a difference between the space and the people in the space. And some way or some point we decided, or somebody decided, because I wasn't at that meeting, decided that the space needed saving. And that the space itself needed some sort of advocacy that could appeal to mainstream. Remember when I said just a little while ago that the Messiah performs has two things going on. They must be flawless and they must be able to appeal to Dwight McManus,
right,
and all of his goings-ons. So in this space, we have a Messiah complex because apparently a Messiah has descended upon us lowly beings here, and due to the advent of this Messiah, there now have popped up this Messiah's acolytes that nobody asked for.
Right.
Nobody asked for, I mean, I don't know. Okay. Nobody asked for these acolytes, these disciples to come popping up to bolster the claim of the Messiah mantle, a mantle that this individual did not say that they wanted or needed. Okay. This individual never said, I want to be the Messiah of this space. And I need disciples to preach the gospel. I'm not going to say the joke that's in my head. I'm really not going to say that joke.
We're going to talk about it later.
But the gospel of the book, you know what? Don't you say it. Don't you say it. You keep it clean. Don't you say it.
Musa.
for this mantle, yet it has been conferred upon him to carry the cross burden of the ghettosphere, the bandosphere. Now, for those of you who can put 2 and 2 together and come up with 4, you shouldn't need me to spell this out. Because you should see, if you've been looking around the manosphere, you should see these disciples and acolytes praising at the... I was going to say it. I was going to play the joke again. Don't do it.
Oh, no.
My sheep. I don't need sheep to do this to me. I really don't need to do this to me today.
It's too early for this.
I'm already struggling. Okay.
It's too early for this. We're going to get through this. Okay.
We will get through it. We will. I have every confidence that we will. And I pray to God that we will. Okay. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Okay. Praising at the feet of the bandosphere. However, see, double C, I don't need that either in my life. I don't need this type of negativity in my life. Thank you, Gold Professor. Huh. I'm gonna keep it together, Father Sam. Most High, I need you right now. I need you. I need your strength, your patience. I need the patience of Job. Okay. I'm gonna get through this thought process. I really am. Yeah. Praising at the feet of the bandosphere. But like we made the example of the Messiah complex a little bit earlier, it is an excuse not to do anything because the Messiah is dependent upon to carry the weight of not only the message, but the actions that would be required to save an entire group, which is impossible because one individual cannot hope to cure each individual's dysfunction without the participation of those individuals affected. End of the thought. I'm handing it over to you, Ronin. How do you this Messiah complex playing out within this space, or do you see it? What's your thoughts?
I see a very bastardized version of it. It's where you have individuals who are wretched in Messiah. Pause. But they put this individual up there as a beacon or a symbol of what they aspire to be. But when it comes to application, there's a lot of circular thought and it's going nowhere. There's a lack of action. There's a lot of wasted time. And there's some dead narratives that are being dragged around instead of like individuals looking within themselves and resolving the problem within them. That's the main problem. There's just too much finger pointing, tap dancing around, and piss poor assessment of where this individual group is set. Our voice as men in this sphere, or at least the outskirts of it. It could be carried out in a very constructive way if we had a measure of standards, balance, and direction of it. But for some reason, it's been set at the foot or the altar of certain individuals to where they don't have to do any work. It's like, look, this person will take care of it. And once they got it, now I can rally behind them and say, I was behind this. When really you have to put forth the work. You have to shoulder some things via your actions, a changed mindset, and evidence of those things. They have to work in concert. Until then, if you're not in the same place, you're going to be much further down the totem pole. Continue to actions like that. So, and again, after a while, after that said Messiah has served their purpose, once they leave on their own accord or they're forced out, then you're worse off than you started in the beginning. And we've seen this time and time again. So
you know what it is. Okay.
Yes. Yes, I do.
I find it ironic that maybe a year ago there was a campaign by a particular individual with the hashtag show your work. Do you remember that, Ronin? When that was a thing?
I remember.
This space, show your work. And the masculine mercenaries agreed with that sentiment. Show your work. Yeah. I think you should show your work. And I find it ironic that was the mantra about a year ago. Now, a certain individual has been placed in the Messiah position, but the acolytes don't believe in showing your work.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any evidence of work. I have not seen any evidence of helping the collective of Black men, you know what, in this space. Helping we, you know what? It might be time for a sponsor break. Hold on, I gotta take a sponsor break. We just gonna show this commercial again, y'all. Just okay. Break for the sponsor.
This is A Game. Fast acting, long lasting, with no side effects.
Okay.
Oh God.
Break. We needed that. We needed a.
That almost broke me. I'm still standing. I'm still standing.
Okay, that was a word from our sponsor, A Game. Okay.
Yes.
Link is in the description. All right. Okay. What was I saying? Kendra 10. Get your 10% discount.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So what was that? You don't interrupt. What was I saying? I was saying, funny how I don't see the work. I don't see evidence of work. We had an unfortunate event. Thank you, Gold Professor. Say how much is it going to cost to get you to say the stuff explicitly said, I got the money. No. Please don't, Gold Professor, because I'm trying to not say names in this stream. I'm really trying. And if I say the name, what's going to happen is a floodgate will open. And it'll go from a constructive conversation to just a roast session because I feel roasty today. But I don't want to do a roast session. I want to have a conversation with Ronin about this. So I appreciate you, Go Professor, but I'm really trying to just, he said he's going to work on me. Well, thank you once again, beloved. So, however, we had a very unfortunate event take place in this space.
Yes.
And I put the post up shortly after it happened because the brother's wife reached out to me. But it was Force Windu who unfortunately ended his life. Thank you, Go Professor. I'm telling you that paying is not going to work. It's not going to work. Go. Thank you so much, but I'm not going to say because it'll spin out of control. I already know what I'm going to do. He unfortunately took his life. This was a man who frequented this space. He was on panels. He was always in my chat room, conversing with everyone. He contributed always to my channel. I saw him do that to other channels as well that he supported. And to lose him because of whatever he was going through in his personal life that drove him to such a decision, it was actually a catastrophic loss. With that being said, it's interesting to me that we have pushback for concepts such as heal before you build.
Yeah.
To be told that those concepts are feminine, maybe even gynocratic in their use, especially how we've been using it, especially how Sheep Stay Sleep has been using it for a very long time as the mantra and the tagline of his channel. To see a representation of that, where healing needed to be something done, but in this space have it be talked against, falls right in line with that Messiah complex. We're not responsible for our own agency. Shout out to Sheep Stay Sleep, who's been saying that. And we're also apparently not responsible for our own healing of our own dysfunctions and issues that hold us back as a group. Floor is yours. Say whatever you want.
In the passing of Force Windu, it really hit me hard because like at certain points in my life, I want to say at least 4, I was at that ledge. The most recent was 2018. And under my own admission, like hearing certain podcasts at the time, for some reason, it was, I don't know how to explain it, but at that time, I overheard what was going on and I walked away literally from that alternative method of dealing with things. And as much as I like to say, never allow your comfort zone become your coffin, that made me take a real serious look into the responsibility of not just what is said by content creators, but taking a look at ourselves and seeing what we can do to fix ourselves. We understand our respective problems are unique, but our perspective may keep us prisoner from saving ourselves from making grave mistakes, literally. And as a man, you know, I've seen that with a few friends and doing my part in doing wellness checks or encouraging others to like really look at the problem or the situation, or even look at themselves in a different manner. Because like I'd be complicit if I continue to sit back and say nothing, or I have to build my credibility up in order to speak to a fellow man or woman about things. Because I've been in this space for damn near 11, 12 years, and we've ran around the desert on this digital desert for far too long, talking about dead narratives, talking about nonsensical topics, or into these nonsensical gender wars, which is a whole bunch of Hackfield McCoy antics out here. And we lost a lot of ground. So as a man with his own perspective, that's why I speak to peers like yourselves, or just to bridge the gaps that we're so accustomed to. I get sick and tired of the struggle. Like if you're going to struggle, it should be forward. It should be pushing those problems out the lexicon, even with certain words, and then having results. We look back like, look, we had time to really assess things and fix things for ourselves and within ourselves. But there's too many people who are sourcing our dysfunctions, or even at worst, we got people who create a market for which I call incel income and making money off of fragmented women, especially in this space. And if we don't fix that in a timely fashion, more situations like what we've seen here are going to double or triple, if not more. And we'll be complicit just by sitting around cheering somebody just to, or treating it in a way where some people will go to church and they'll hear the word and, you know, they'll go back to business as usual after that. This place should not be a relationship sermon or pulpit. It's a place where we start finding homework, learning the lessons, and applying the homeworks and showing the results of what we've done. Seeing if we move forward or backwards. And if we have that issue, we have like peers to where we sit there, correct things as needed. We're not above reproach. But for some individuals, they figure like you can't question where I stand. You can't, you know, or if you actually call people to account, now you're shouted down by, you know, the acolytes or the or I'll say personal dingleberries that hang around the taint of the Messiah. So I know I know where I'm going. I'm trying to push it back down. But as men and women of principle and purpose, the most important lessons we need to learn is like, or battles we need to face and win is within ourselves, the reflection in the mirror. Because when everyone else is out there, your family, your friends and peers, they can be on the outside looking in. We have to fix us first as individuals, then as a group, and then as a nation. But that does take time and it takes effort. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in this in nonsensical feedback loop and you will succumb to the pressure. Because a few times, some of us have considered those options because the pressure was too great. We didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. And that's something we got to fix. We can't save everybody, unfortunately, but the ones we can, we got to put forth the effort to do that. And that's my thought.
We definitely have to put forward the effort to do that. I've been at that place in my life, early in my life. I've already told y'all I attempted to take my own life 3 times. The most recent that I felt such despair that taking my life was a reasonable option to me was also in 2018. With the passing of my husband, I'm like, okay, I need to go too. Like, I don't even want to wake up and face any days or do anything. I don't want to do anything. It sent me very early on into a very deep sort of depression.
Yeah.
And I too began to gravitate away from certain things in this space and towards certain things in this space and certain people and certain messages. And those things, those people, those messages helped me and helped sort of me trying to refocus and say, okay, I don't need to go down that road again in my life. I need to be able to, even if it's slow, pick up the pieces and try to move on positively. And because of that time and because of the very practical help and the emotional help that I received from certain individuals in this space is what gave me love for this space. It bolstered it. And then I wanted to protect the people in it. I wanted to protect the space. I wanted it to thrive in a positive way. So I call myself doing my part with the content and all of that kind of stuff. Here at this point in 2021, the conversation needs to move forward, and not just the conversation, but the effort and the action that we put behind that conversation now must come into play. What are the practical things that people can do? Because we've gone over the problem. We've gone over it ad nauseum. We have gone over and over and over and over, and these women ain't this and these women ain't that. Without, first of all, proper context. That's the first thing that's missing out of the conversation for a lot of people in this space.
Yes.
No context or the wrong context. And I'll give you an example. We watched a video, and I'm sure you watched it too. I think you watched it too, of the guy that was reviewing the man who was in divorce court, all because he was in this space listening to things being said without framework or context, and then going on to try to apply these things into his life, wrong, might I add, which landed him in divorce court. Okay. Yeah. And as he began to explain his mindset and how he was implementing this talking point and that talking point, he looked stupid. It was like, okay, what are you talking about? All of this stuff you're talking about is way out of context. And what you've done is ruin your relationship. Now, what we don't know is how many decent to good relationships have been ruined by people listening to other people, sitting in an echo chamber with bad information, badly framed or not framed well at all, and then left to their own devices to try to implement stuff that they don't even know what to implement or how to. Then you've got people listening to all of these content creators. Let me give a word to the content creators in this space, myself included. We have a responsibility for what we say on this platform. I don't care if you think it's just YouTube. I don't care if you think it's just entertainment and nobody should take it that far and nobody should take it that serious. I don't care. You are in public. You are speaking. There are people who are taking what you say seriously. If you are not aware of that, you are complicit in the impact of your words. You are responsible for your words. Don't you think I know that there are people, whether they are in the clouds or in the chat room or catch playbacks or whatever the case may be, that listen to me and they really listen to me. They listen. And they are taking parts of what I'm saying and seeing if they can implement it into their life in real time, where it will have real consequences. I need to be aware of that fact. I have not presented my channel as an entertainment channel where, don't take nothing what I say, all I do is sip tea and talk about Real Housewives. So you know not to take that. We just talking about Real Housewives and all the reality shows and all that kind of stuff. That's all we doing, girl. We just sitting back, girl, having a little girl talk about girl, and it's the tea time, girl. We talking tea. I have not presented my channel that way. I have presented my channel as an educational tool. As such, people have taken it seriously. I'm responsible for what I say. This is why I frame stuff carefully when I think sometimes people might take it, or it can be taken several different ways. Because what I'm accounting for is that not everybody's that's listening is an adult. Not everyone that's listening has had the same experiences that I have, or coming from the same mindset that I come from. So I have to be careful about how I'm saying stuff, what I'm saying. Because people have told me on multiple occasions that they have their children listening to me. That is serious to me. I don't play a game with that. People are entrusting their children and exposing them intentionally to me. So for those of you who are sitting behind these cameras, sitting behind avatars and whatever else, and keeping a lot of tomfoolery going on because it gets you clicks and views, because you can ride the wave of your so-called messiah in this space, because it's a lot of rhetoric and you can have a good argument. What you're not doing is paying attention that people are taking it seriously. If you're not taking it seriously, stop framing yourself as a resource in this space that people can come to actually try to see how to help themselves in their life. Stop doing it. That's my message to the content creators, or the conflict creators. Shout out to Ronin for that term. A bunch of conflict creators. Put yourself in the entertainment category and say you sipping tea.
No, I wholeheartedly agree, because it's not just some of the things we see that we take in with these podcasts and whatnot. I talk to people offline, and they told me about certain people that they see as motivational tools and govern their life. Some people don't actually delve deep into what that person's saying or how they came to be about with these certain mindsets or whatnot. And in talking to them, I can see the inherent danger of being that careless with it. And people think with the heal before you build is just a catchphrase, but the healing, you had to do some interpersonal and spiritual surgery more than anything. There's some things you got to cut out, and some things are not going to come with anesthetic. Some things you need that time to heal up on certain things, certain traumas, certain wounds that you either prided yourself on or you have been crippled by, that we are unable to relate to certain people or even have healthy relationships, especially with yourself. So a lot of times, if you are a content creator, a lot of us are careless. We get worried about, we dismiss the idea that This is still a business, but what is your business about? Is it about promoting forward progression or maintaining the level of brokenness out here, especially in this space? That's why your words have weight. If you are an individual who's looking to, I guess, be a beacon of leadership and they see that you're broken, that's the example you're setting. You make it cool being in your dysfunction, or you make it cool addressing your dysfunction and growing from it, actually healing from it in real time. Relatability is a weapon, either good or evil. And that's the inherent danger of being a content creator versus a conflict creator. You can say what you want. Your intentions are going to be made clear. But if you're talking about making a difference, it's all about how you apply your words and your actions. So you can show your work in many ways. It can be good or bad, but the onus is on you. And seeing what we've lost, certain individuals, is because they become basically casualties of our conversations, unfortunately. And we have to really take responsibility to fix that. So if you're about making the changes, so be it. They don't need to hear it. They need to see it. They have to work in concert. Otherwise, respectfully on this panel, you are full of shit. That's what I have to say.
Exactly. You are. And the other thing, hey to everybody that's coming in. I know y'all are coming in and speaking, and we've been in a rhythm of talking. But assalamu alaikum, Sister Isada. Hey, Mike coming in. Shop Talk. Golden. We got Tierra. We got Mr. Lou. And if I missed you, I do apologize. But going with what you're saying, we understand, and it is becoming crystal clear to me that we now have a space full of conflict creators. Yes. We have a space full. And how I know it's a space full of conflict creators is that there has not been any structure presented that helps anybody. We have a space full of or dominated by men. All the time on my channel, I talk about how men are the ones that are responsible for creating structures. Men are the ones who are responsible for having the vision, putting the plan together on how they're going to do that, whether that's one man or whether that is a group of men who have a common goal, who want to see that goal be accomplished, or at least the road to the goal, and who come together to say, this is how we're going to do this. These are the things that we need to do. If we agree that this is the goal, that these are the things that we want, and we're all driving for the same thing, this is how we need to do it. And we talked about this before. You, me, Sheep, even on a live stream. And I talk all the time about how men do this. The fact that that structure has not been created until now, or presented in the manosphere until now, is a sad reality. And what it shows me is that, was there ever any intention to heal Black men, to help them to become the self-identified leaders, not only in their personal lives and for themselves, but for their families and ultimately for their communities? There has been no structure presented until now. And now that the structure has been presented in the form of A Game, in the form of the 10 life values, in the form of helping people to understand and to categorize themselves, their lives, how to see things, and then give them tools that they can actually use to help address what's going on in their lives. It disappoints me to no end that there should be anything said in a negative way about any of that. That should have been welcomed with open arms by everybody in the space, by the majority of people in this space, in particularly the content creators. But it was not.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of my disappointment in this space. And then we're going to tout an individual who simply did what other YouTube content creators have done in the past, which is find a niche, find an avenue that people like, that people will come to, and there has been success in that way. They've gained subscribers, they've gained viewers, they've gained money, and all of this type of stuff. And listen, that's what you're supposed to do on YouTube. If you blow up, you blow up. And that's good. You're supposed to, if that's what you aiming to do. But I don't know what that has to do with the practical, on the ground, grassroots things that people need to do in this space to heal themselves, to actually see the light at the end of a tunnel.
Yeah. Well, I want to slightly disagree at this point, where I expected the pushback on things. When you have, like, just think of it as when you have an intervention or rehab, and you have someone who's so addicted to a dysfunction that they will fight you tooth and nail initially, because that's what they have accustomed their life to. But over time, when you're doing that internal surgery, you start seeing the benefits of not being addicted to that drug of choice, to eventually where you can get up and actually speak to people as to, like, who you were back then and who you are now, and who you're evolving into. It's all part of the process, no different than the 5 stages of grief. And we started to see that not just online, but offline. So it's a needed part of the game, I see personally. But outside of that, I mean, you're listening to an individual who at some point can admit, like, listening to a lot of these talking points without actually putting things into context or overthinking it. I literally lost everything and almost my mind and my life at a point. But once you get to some breaking point, you make that choice, like, you know what? Little by little, I'm going to build this back up the right way. That's why you're going to have to lose certain friends, lose certain connections. Some of them blood related, because just because you're blood related doesn't mean they can relate to you. And a lot of us have learned that the hard way. So the walk forward is not going to be easy. You're going to have a lot of injuries, mainly internal. But that brokenness, there's some things that needed to break out of you, because that's where you feel that weight. Some people can be married at the altar and divorced from reality and happiness. I'm not saying anything about marriage, but Forrest Windu was married. He had a family, but that wasn't enough to fix the man within himself. I can relate, because at that time, yeah, I was, if not broken, shattered by a lot of stuff that was built up. So it's not just the men out here, there's women out here as well. But in this context, we're talking about the guys who are walking around with a lot of burdens, looking for answers. So while we're speaking on a lot of things, we have to, like, create a space to where that they can actually apply it in a public forum and actually, you know what, I got a support group here, because I can talk to people about certain things, and they see the progress, and you push them forward. Like, look, you see what you're doing, keep going. What you got going on is solid. You underestimate yourself, and people who give a damn about you remind you, like, look, you are underwhelming your greatness. That's one of the most disappointing things I see about you. But in spite of that, I support where you're going. If you made a mistake, dust yourself off and keep it moving. Plus it takes a great deal of ability to laugh at yourself. That's why I cling hard to the 5150 show, because at one point where I was just going through it, I remember watching one of the episodes where I laughed so hard I actually felt my ears pop. That's just what happened. And I let certain individuals know laughter is holistic medicine, and what you do helped save me from making silly decisions that I would regret forever. So again, if you're able to appreciate life for what it is, because like your problems, as messed up as they could be, the fact that you're still here means you're meant for something great. It's on you to figure out as to why, because you're unfinished. So that's why I'm grateful for individuals like yourself and others. Do I look at things differently? I still have to walk my own walk, but you have people that remind you, like, look, I'm here for a solid purpose. And it sounds crass to say it, but once you get accustomed to fucking the shit out of your purpose, you birth a whole lot of things, a better version of yourself, a better life for yourself. And I'm on the progress of seeing things manifest over time. It's not an instant fix. It will take time, effort, energy, and a few restless nights. But when you start seeing that light, coming from you sitting there toiling and working on yourself, you'll be amazed at what you see and feel. That's my thought.
And thank you, man. So this woman is so dope. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I was going to speak on that with Brill. Going to say,
are you eating like your oranges?
Yeah.
Man, I miss oranges. Anyway, I miss the little cuties. Yeah. Those are always sweet. But anyway.
That's them. That's what these are.
They always really, really sweet.
And I killed a whole bag today.
You will, because they little bitty and you just keep going through them. You just kill a whole bag. Yeah. But to talk about what you're saying, I'm losing my train of thought. I really hate when I do that, because I take myself off my thoughts. Because I got distracted by the oranges. I can almost smell them when you peeling them.
Yeah. Well, I want to add with what Brilly was mentioning about the issues. In talking to him, I know I'm aware of some of the things, but certain times you got to learn how to love people at a distance. Let them figure certain things out. Like the whole Messiah complex we're talking about, individuals that we like or appreciate, of course, they're going to have their flaws, but many times over, I understand where certain things come from. That's the power of relatability, to where like I'm not putting someone on a pedestal, because like I know in many ways I'm screwed up and I can own up to that. But there's still people who, roll with me and actually support me to do things better or look at things in a different light. So yeah, you got some people who are still working through their dysfunctions, but that's on them to work on that for themselves. You can only go so far. If they're willing to do it, so be it. But we can't be prisoners of perspective, because a lot of people are pointing the fingers from the outside looking in. Like they don't know everything that goes on beyond the camera, which is why we have to sit there and promote certain things in real time. But off the camera, it's not that much different. We have a lot of work to do for ourselves. So the progress is not meant to be shown all over the place, because most times that's fake. This isn't a Sally Struthers suffrage commercial. But that's just my spin on it.
Thank you, Mike. So just showing support. Thank you so much.
That's my homie right there. What's up, Mike?
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna start wrapping it up. We have to be responsible for what we're saying, what we're doing in front of people. This is why this is so important. This is why A game is so important. Helping brothers in their physical health to get clear in their minds, clearer thinking, to have more energy where they can expend it and see if they can manage it properly to be productive for themselves. This is why the 10 life values is so important. It's extremely important. We about doing work over here. Like Sheep Stay Sleep said, this is a no cap zone. We are not playing. Right. We're not playing. When we talk about bringing solutions to the people, to the masses, to the men, that's what we mean. I want to do my part always to support the brothers. When I start this call-in show, I'm going to be trying to help. Well, anybody can call in. I'm not restricting it to men or women. But I'm sure that I'm going to have my sisters to call to ask certain things. And they're going to be assisted through the 10 life values. We're talking about really helping people to transform their lives one by one on an individual basis because of what we do here today. This is a legacy that we are leaving. I'm not just up here popping my gums and trying to be cute, although I succeeded in being cute. But anyway, I'm just not up here just to run my mouth. We are here trying to make a difference, which I thought that's what this space was about. But we don't have a Messiah complex over here. Yeah. And we're not waiting on somebody else to do all the work. We're going to help you do your work because we have done and are doing our work. So we understand what it takes. And we have a thing to give you, a way, a structure, a plan that can be implemented. The words are not empty. The words are not empty. The words are full of meaning. They're full of solutions also. No cap zone at all. All right, that's my closing. What's your closing statement, beloved?
Last year around this time, I went to Corey Holcomb's comedy show here in Indianapolis, and I called him on the way out. We talked a little bit, and what he told me was we had a conversation, and what he closed with was, whatever you choose to do or wherever you choose to go, a real nigga gonna make it anywhere. So that, I took that to heart. Just it's on me to guide my steps for the most part. So that's what a year later, I'm a lot further than I was at that time. And at that time, I was feeling mighty low. So I needed not just a laugh, but what I got was a lesson. So while he's doing his thing, I need to be doing mine. I need to be taking care of business, not making any excuses. And there's some things that I'm doing now that are brand new. I get a little nervous about, but if anything, that's why I said never allow your comfort zone become your coffin. If it's something new and scary, I learned to count to 3 and then just jump into it. So this is where, and I definitely remember the Ontario show. We'll talk about that later. But but this is where we got to do some homework as a people. It's great to listen to certain content creators, which we tend to relate to the message they're speaking at the time, but we have to keep it in the context. How does this apply in my life? How does this work? Was I feeling some kind of way at the time? And I was cheering it on, but later on, I was like, what the hell are they talking about? You have to assess everything that works for yourself. If it's positive, cool. If it's something that hurt, but you needed it, take that hit and grow from it. I'm leave it at that.
All right. So what I'm going to do is cut on up out of here. All right. But before we go, everyone needs to go into the description box because this show has been brought to you today by A Game. In order to get A Game, what you guys need to do is go into the description box and hit the link for agameherbal.com. Get your 10% discount using the code Kendra10. You will be amazed at what this stuff can do for you. From all accounts, every man that I've ever encountered that has used A Game was like, yes, please. More A Game, please. All right. And so with that being said, we're going to check on out of here. Peace, Crimsonites.
This is A Game. Fast acting, long lasting, with no side effects.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.